Hello to all you geeks and degenerates. This is the culmination of our Naughty Dog week. And yes, we are going back to The Last of Us. And with me is John. No, unfortunately, Ed couldn't be here. So just the two of us.
Yeah,
So, for years, this was
I
like.
hate the game. I hate the game. Complete trash.
Alright.
Absolute trash. Second game, gold. Absolute gold.
Wow, that's a. Wow. Right
Yeah,
off the bat. But no,
yeah.
for
1 out of 10.
for years, this is like the gold standard of like, if you have a PS3 or a PS4, you have to have this game. Even like with my buddies in college who are only into like sports games, like this would be in their collection because they're like, oh, right, I'll make an exception for this because everybody says it's this good and I'll want to get it because I don't want to be left out. Uh, but this came out a couple 2013 and it was just the game like this and Bioshock Infinite were like the two games that were like, you have to
Well,
have played
yeah,
these.
it was the golden years of Troy Baker.
Yeah, yeah.
Like him voicing Booker DeWitt, and then Joel. Does Joel have a last name?
Miller.
Joel Miller. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like this is the golden age of Troy Baker, and like soon after this, it was Arkham Origins, right?
Yeah. It was same
Yeah.
as that was the same year he did his debut as Mr. J.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
I like. I like him as Joker.
Same here. Like he sounds like a more young.
Mark Hamill.
Say yeah, yeah. Like it is. Say oh, he's copying Mark Hamill. That was his job.
Hmm.
Just saying.
But do you remember seeing any promo for this or like did you see E3 stuff? E3 like trailers?
Yeah, of course I did. Like it was a big deal for everybody because everybody's like, whoa, like a zombie game by people who made Uncharted. Oh, I was a big fan of Uncharted because I played Uncharted 2 and then there was 3. And I was like, wow, are we going to be doing parkour while killing zombies? Sadly, in the trailer, that was not the case. It was really more down and gritty, and it was like very like real, kind of like zombie apocalypse. And everybody was blown away by the graphics. Sure, kids nowadays might not think like, hey, it's actually just okay looking. But back in the day, 2013, that shit was mind blowing to us.
Yeah.
9 years ago, for fuck's sake.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, that summer I completed all of the Uncharted games. I'm like I was hungry for more Naughty Dog stuff. So when I saw the gameplay demo of like the early version of the hotel sequence, I'm like, damn, that looks good.
Yeah, but at the same time, I was not really in this. I was still coming off of like Black Ops zombies,
Hmm.
where like I'm still trying to get used to horror games. Like, as of today, I would play horror games willy nilly, but like back in the day, I was like very hesitant to play a zombie game, even if it is Uncharted. Even though there is a really good story, I'm so scared to move forward. So I was very hesitant on buying this game.
Yeah, but needless to say, I think at least this game deserves all the accolades it gets, because
Yeah,
it is one of a kind. Uh, and getting into it, like first see Sarah and Joel, and right at the bat, you're like, I like Sarah. She has this attitude that's like, you can tell their lives are not like the best, but like, she's, he gives them the
because
watch.
like yeah. But you know that you played the demo.
Yeah,
You went through the demo, and you're like, this kid doesn't have red hair,
yeah.
and her name is Sarah. Oh no.
Oh no, but yeah,
I sorry, but I saw it coming immediately as soon as the opening sequence started, where she buys her dad a watch. It's his birthday.
how did
There's a
you get
zombie
this?
apocalypse
Drugs. I sell hardcore drugs.
or drugs. You know, you love the humor between them.
Yeah.
It is very real.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, oh, fellow daughter, thank you for the present. It's not like that. Like it was a very real conversation. I would say I love Troy Baker as a voice actor. He really sells Joel.
Yeah.
And
Um, and then Sarah, you walk around the house and you notice like, all right, the world's getting going to shit right now.
dude, that was an amazing sequence. Of course, we're not gonna delve in deep with every
Yeah.
sequence of the game. We will be going through it very quickly. For me, I haven't played it in a while because my PS3 is broken. that's the only place where I could play Last of Us. So I kind of just rewatch majority of the cutscenes, but I do remember the sequences
Yeah, yeah.
or like the fight scenes.
Uh,
But
but yeah,
like
they
just saying,
just
you're in the perspective of somebody witnessing the apocalypse unfold
yeah.
right then and there. Like you're watching the TV, and then on the news you see an explosion, and then you hear the pop from the distance. Where you're like, oh shit! And you
That
look
was
out the
right
window.
next to me.
Yeah, there's an explosion right over there, and there's smoke coming out. I was like, this is so good.
Yeah, and
I
then
was so scared.
her, Joel, and Tommy try to escape, and then their car crashes, and her leg's injured, so Joel has to carry her the entire way, and you're being chased by zombies, and then you bump into this
Mind you, running.
yeah running zombies, and then they bump into this soldier who kills the zombies for you, and then he's like, "Sir, they're survivors, but sir, there's a little girl," and you're like, "Oh shit!" And then he
Yeah.
shoots Joel, like Joel gets grazed, and then Tommy saves them, and then he's like, "Oh shit, Sarah!" And then you see Sarah bleeding out. You're like, they're not going to do this, right?"
Dude, look, I already saw this coming. Like, it's either they get separated in some way, she turns into like a zombie, or she just had to die in that sequence for us to have Ellie. For us to have this gritty world with this girl on the cover art.
Yeah,
And and like I saw it coming. I already saw it coming. It's like this girl's not gonna make it. But how they did it was so real and
painful.
so painful to us. It was pretty much the first 5 minutes of all.
Yeah,
Yeah, where you like the start right off the bat, you already knew what the tone of this movie was.
like I don't know if you've seen the gameplay of when Nolan North and Troy Baker are playing this game, and Nolan North's reaction to the scene. That's just my reaction. I'm like, "Oh my god."
Right, right. I would say though, yeah, watching was it Retro Replay?
Yeah.
Is their channel. Nolan North does not play video games well, but it is so entertaining to watch him play it. Knowing that he voices one of the characters there and Nathan Drake.
Yeah, and then this sequence is like why I kind of justify what happens towards the end, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But cut to 20 years later, Joel is working with his partner Tess, and they are on the hunt for the guy who, because he owes them weapons, and he reveals to them he sold them to the Fireflies, which is this rebel group that goes against the government. And also before that, you see how brutal the combat system is, because you can hear the hits coming at you. Like, oh my god.
It is very satisfying, but at the same time, very like brutal. Like, especially if you go to hand combat and you like, it is not like Uncharted where it's very heroic, very action movie. Like you do an uppercut, the guy flies 5 feet in the air.
Yeah.
Like they're you will have to like tackle somebody and probably shift them. I'm like, oh my, it's like prison. You're like, was this prison yard fights? I'm like, my god.
And if you do it right, there's a sequence where Joel pins someone to the wall and just grabs their head and just smashes it against the wall. I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah, yeah.
But they see this firefly named Marlene, and she says, "Hey, I'll give you your guns. Can you do something for me in return?" And it's to escort this girl, Ellie. And they're like, "Fine." At the dead of night, they sneak out, and they're surrounded by soldiers at first, and they're checking to see if they're, infected. And Ellie freaks out. She stabs one of them, and then kills both of them.
You gotta love her reaction. It was like, I thought we were gonna like hold him up or something, because like Tess and Joel just like straight up murder them. All like, okay, but like we get introduced to Ellie. Like, this is our first time seeing a character, probably in video games, who's not innocent. Like, this is an escort mission. Remember that. This is the same time as we get Bioshock Infinite. We get Elizabeth and we get Ellie. And the difference between them is that Ellie is a bad mouth, like badass kid, while Elizabeth is wife material. But like you gotta love this entire character. Like you want to have a kid this cool.
Yeah, like adopt, please.
Yes, adopt right now.
Yeah.
But of course, you know, right off the bat, you know, it's like, oh, this is probably heavy for Joel, knowing the fact that like as they get to the area, like it's supposed to be like a 2 day escort mission,
Yeah.
right? And then it just led to like this entire long ass cross country journey.
Yeah.
But like,
Also, she's immune to this
yeah,
virus.
that was the thing. Like once they checked her, and Tess and Joel like look at the scanner, it says she's infected, but she's been infected for 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
And the reason why they're escorting her is that they're gonna bring her to a lab to see if she can be the antidote or like the vaccine to this virus.
Yeah, yeah. And they're like, fuck it, we have to escort her anyway. And then it's in one of the buildings that you first see a clicker, and I fucking hated those things for the longest time.
Dude, this is what I loved about this game. Is that it wasn't like sure there are some zombies from here to there that would like hit you and you'd be like, ah, fuck you. No. Once you get a clicker on you, like legit it gets its hands on you and you don't have a shiv, it's instant death.
Yeah.
It is very realistic and I love it for it. Like the death scenes are so brutal. Like it puts it puts Mortal Kombat to shame, in my opinion. Like, yeah, say what you want. Yeah, there's amazing gore in Mortal Kombat, but that's like very, you know,
Over the top.
yeah. It's like it's too much.
Yeah.
Like I don't think this would really happen.
Like you
Here,
can't
this is yeah.
uppercut someone's head off.
Yeah. But here, like you see them like get scratched in the face and like get like a little bit of their skin come off, like Joel's skin like coming off his neck. And I'm like, this is too real. Like it just less is more is what I'm trying to say, and it was so effective for me. I was like, oh god,
Right.
especially if you like reach, like humans, like you know, like just regular scum of the earth. And if you're near like broken glass, they would like push your face into the glass. I was like, what? No! It is gory though. It is
Yeah.
gory.
And then that's where we get the subway level where it's like 4 clickers. Like, I just met them. How the fuck am I gonna get through this?
Right? What was that the subway scene where it was just pitch black?
Yeah.
Fuck that scene. Oh, fuck that level, man.
And then that's when you get to daylight, you're like, all right, we can continue.
Yeah.
Uh,
I love the evolution though, because cordyceps are real, by the way.
yeah.
This virus is real, but it only happens to like the really like small animals.
Yeah, like ants. Have you seen what it can do to a tarantula? Like, oh my god.
Knowing the fact that the thing can actually go to like a step bigger, like it can control something bigger. I don't like it. I don't like it. It will reach us eventually.
Oh god. But yeah, they reach daylight and they go to a museum where, at one point, Tess is ambushed, but she's fine. She can handle herself.
Yeah.
And then,
Oh, there's a lot of badass like female characters in this one.
like
Saying, like I don't like it when people say like, oh, in Last of Us 2, we finally get badass female characters. There's always been badass female characters.
Tess hits as hard as Joel. Like, oh my god.
I mean, she's as young as Joel too. So,
Yeah.
Like, I guess so.
Joel's
Joel's like probably nearing his 50s,
probably.
and the man looks great
And
in the
then
apocalypse.
we get to the Capitol building where they were supposed to meet the Fireflies, and they're all dead. And Tess is like, "Fuck, Joel, you have to escort her to where they were supposed to take her, Ellie." And he's like, "I ain't gonna do that." It's like, "No, because I don't have enough time anyway." And he's like, "What do you mean?" And then she shows him the bite marks. Like, "Look, she's been infected for 3 weeks, and it's still like that. I was been an hour ago, and it's already worse. I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna hold my ground. You guys have to go."
Yeah. And of course, Joel is like very reluctant because it is a very big burden that you have to bring this girl to point A to point B, but then B doesn't work. You have to bring her to C, then Z. Like that's Joel's entire journey.
Yeah.
that's what he has to go through. Of course, he's gonna be hesitant, but of course, Tess is kind of like, for the courtesy of for me, like, out of kindness of your heart, do it for me. Because like, if there's a cure for her, at least it could have fixed me.
Yeah. And then
I was like, that was like every time they have dialogue, it's always really deep and
Yeah.
and it hurts.
and you hear it, and then you see the aftermath. You're like, rest in peace, Tess.
Yeah, like you have to get out of the building and you
Yeah.
just hear gunshots.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then they go to Bill's town, and Bill is a bit paranoid, to say the least, because you accidentally get caught in his traps, and he's this big paranoid dude who's like, don't touch my shit.
He's probably one of those prepper guys.
Yeah. Like, I've been waiting for this.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who's waiting for
I mean-
an apocalypse to happen.
Did you see that church he converted to his own arsenal?
Yeah. Dude, I mean, the entire town was booby trapped.
Yeah.
That was all him. And I was like, shit.
Yeah. Also, this is where you get the bow and arrow, which it takes some time to get used to. Because you're like, why can't you just give me a normal crosshair? But sure, why not?
I love the gun play here.
Yeah.
Because when you aim the gun, it's not like Uncharted where the reticle is just straight and it is steady, and you could just shoot without missing from time to time. No, here you really have to just take your time, and you only have probably around 12 bullets
Yeah.
max.
Yeah, and the game isn't generous, especially in harder difficulties. It's like, I guess I only have 3 bullets forever. Shit.
Like if you like look into a drawer, you get 3 bullets. It's like a luxury. You're like, oh yes. Now it's up to you if you could aim well.
Yeah.
But like Joel's hand, it does this, and I
Yeah.
hate it.
But Joe, it's been 20 years, just fucking aim. Please.
I mean, he's old, I guess.
And then that's where we get the big doomsday looking ones too. Like, what the fuck is
Oh
that
yeah,
supposed
the bloaters.
to be? Yeah.
Where like legit, if it gets its hands on you, you're dead.
Like it does the Peter Jackson King Kong thing to Joe.
Oh yeah, where it like opens your mouth. Ah. No,
And
what I
then-
don't like about it is like it messes up too. Like
Yeah.
midway, it like loses grip and it
scratches.
scratches your.
Like, oh
hate it.
god. And then you find Bill's old partner because they were looking for a battery, and you find out that he took the battery.
Yeah.
But he got infected along the way, and Bill's devastated. He's like, how could he? I guess I pushed him away too much. That he's like, fuck it, I don't need.
Oh
you.
yeah, this was like a big thing too. Was Bill, for the doomsday prepper that he is, you find out that he's gay.
Yeah.
Like when he talks about his partner, you like at the start you would think like, oh, it's probably his wife, or he found a girlfriend along the way. No, it's a guy, and it was like, wow.
Yeah.
Back in 2013, nobody really did that
Yeah.
kind of story.
It's subtle too, because at first I'm like, oh, it must be like a Tess and Joel thing, and then
Yeah,
the more he talks about it, you're like, wait a minute.
yeah. I also thought it was like a Tess and Joel when he mentioned like, oh, this was my partner.
Yeah.
No, they were lovers. I was like, that sucks. No, the fact that like he hung himself because he didn't want to turn.
Yeah.
It's like, it sucks.
And then they escape with the car, and Ellie.
And you and if you had any doubt that Bill was gay, now you know. The man had like porno, like gay. Was this like men's porno bags? So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
And then Ellie's like, Joel, why are these pages stuck together? And he's like,
But no, of course she was just joking.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, I'm just kidding, and
I'm
she
just
like
kidding.
throws it out the window.
and then as they're driving towards town, they take another path, and then there's a guy walking out, and Ellie's like, he's injured, and he's like, he's not even hurt, and he just rams the guy. Like, oh, how does Joel know that?
The amount of foresight Joel has in this world, like he has gone through so much shit
Yeah.
to know when somebody's faking it and when somebody's not.
And then this sequence is where we also get the hotel sequence where you have to find a gen, and then the key card.
I hate it where you have to like, and then because there's clickers in
Yeah.
the room, it'll make a noise and you have to fucking run away from the generator.
Yeah, and then you still have to find a key card. Like, fuck my life. And
right?
you have to have it memorized too, like otherwise you'll just be screaming the entire way. It's like help me.
Look, the map's not gonna be at the hub. You have to open up, like you have to pause, not really pause the game, but you have to like open up the map menu
Yeah.
to look where it is and shit. Wait, right? Like they didn't show like the map. They showed like the bullet count. That's
Yeah.
it, right? And health bar.
Yeah. But yeah, again, it's like if you memorize this, good for you. If you haven't, you'll be screaming in the entire like, where the fuck is the key card? Uh, but yeah, they escape and well, Joel escapes and he gets ambushed by this one guy and he's being pinned underwater and Ellie comes and saves him. And then she's like, ah, man, I totally shot the shit out of that guy. And he's like, I'm
Yeah.
lucky I didn't get my head blasted off by a little girl.
By a kid.
By a
And,
kid.
like- and like yeah,
It's
like Ellie gets a little bit upset about that. Like, hey, thanks for saving my life, Joel. You could have just said that.
yeah, like you fucking.
It could have been me or him. And I'm like, and yeah, later on we get to this level I hated the most. This is the one with the Gatling gun, was it? Like or like the turret, the guy on the turret.
Oh, the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
And
what is it?
Ellie was the one on like the sniper,
Yeah.
and she would have had to defend it the entire way.
Like what is it with Naughty Dog and having cars of death, whether it's Uncharted or Last of Us. But yeah, he trains Ellie how to use a rifle, and then they're successful, and then you meet.
And I do like it. Like he does say thank you. Like
Yeah.
Was this? He's like, yeah, if it were up to me or something like that, it would have been him or me or something
Yeah.
like that. I forgot what it said. I'm paraphrasing. Correct me if I'm wrong.
And then that's where we meet the brothers, Sam and Henry. And at first, you're like, I'm not too sure about these guys. And then you kind of trust them a bit more. And then when the moment comes, they abandon you. You're like, what the fuck? The hell?
Oh yeah, like, because he had the whole plan of like infiltrating this. Was this
Because they're
bandit scam?
yeah,
You know, like-
to
Yeah.
ultimately escape the city because they keep being hunted down by that armored truck thing, and then they abandon you, and then you get rescued by them later, and then he's
yeah,
like,
because you're like being chased by like the tank, right?
yeah,
Like yeah, it's like a tank. And Ellie was like, "We have to jump," and Joel's like, "You can't swim."
and I think
Well-
fuck it,
I don't think we have any other option.
and Henry's like, yeah, we did it, and Joel's like, you left us for dead, motherfucker. Explain. He's like, look, man, if it was the other way around, you wouldn't have done the same thing?
Yeah. The entire commentary of like, it's either you be a hero in the zombie apocalypse or you be smart. And just saying, what's his name again? Henry?
Yeah.
The guy was being smart, and I am completely on his side. Like, if it was me and my brother, and like we saw that maybe some other people, like some dad with his like little girl, is in trouble, and we can't do anything to save them. Like it will kill us. Yeah, like we will die trying to save them. I will leave them. It's the apocalypse. Sorry, that's how the fucking world works now. There's no camaraderie. If you have a chance to escape, you take it.
Yeah. Again, be a hero or live to fight another day, essentially.
Yeah.
And then we get to this underground sequence where it's like a makeshift children's school. And this sequence is hard if you're paying attention to like the notes and shit. You're like, the kids are safe, but this guy's infected. I'm like, I wonder how this ends. And then you get to a room where there's one guy who obviously killed himself, and there's a blanket covering little bodies, and on the floor it's written, they didn't suffer. I'm like, fuck. This world, fuck.
Yeah. Like, I will say, this shit was really rough
Yeah.
to go through. Like, you know what the world is. This is a realistic depiction of like what if this thing happened to us. People will do the hard decisions. Will make the hard choices. Like, and it was very depressing. Like, this entire game, every wall or every house you go into, there's always a depressing story from here to there.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, you could say that. Oh, it's kind of the same as the second game. The thing is, there were likable characters in this game.
Yeah.
In the second game, majority of the time, you kind of just wanted to off yourself so the journey ends.
Yeah. But
As a character, not in real life.
there was a sniper sequence where Joel has to help first kill the sniper and then help Henry, Ellie, and Sam. And then at one point they get ambushed by zombies.
Yeah.
And then you escape, and then you get to this tower, and Henry and Joel are bonding over Harley Davidsons, and Ellie gives Sam this robot, this like Voltron-looking robot that he.
Oh yeah, but it was the toy that like at the start, Henry was like, "No, we only take what we need. You don't make space for useless things." So
Yeah.
I was like, I get it, but at the same time, surviving isn't living.
Yeah.
If you don't have like stuff like that. But I get it. I get it.
And then something's off because Ellie's like, "Here's the robot," and Sam's like, "Thank you." And Rick, "What's wrong with Sam?" And then it pans down to his like, Rick, "Oh my
He's
god."
been-
And then
And like no, he has a full dialogue with Ellie too. He's like, "Do you think that they're still in there?
yeah.
They just can't control themselves, and that's what he's afraid of."
And then Ellie
And he's-
says, "Well, I'm afraid of ending up alone," which really hits Rick. Fuck.
Yeah. And like, oh my god, like, what was this? They started talking about like, oh, like Henry would say that like, oh, they're already moved on. They're at heaven with their families. And you could see like both of them not really believing in that. You know how hard the world has pushed them to the point where you're like,
Is there even an
I-
afterlife?
yeah, like why would there? If there's that option, why don't we just off ourselves or like, we could have just died sooner so we don't have to go through this shit if there's something really nice over there.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, the next day, Henry's like, "Hey, can you, breakfast is ready. Can you wake Sam up?" And then Ellie goes into the room, and Sam is already infected. And Joel tries to get his gun, but Henry shoots at the floor. And then Joel tries to get it again, and then you pan to Sam. You hear bang and pan to Sam, and Sam's dead. And then you see Henry with a smoking gun. And then Joel's like, Henry? And he's like, "It's all your fault." And he kills himself. And Joel has this look like, "Oh my god, that's fucked up."
Yeah, because you could see Henry and Joel were really the same person. Like they're somewhat the same characters now. The fact that like Henry lost his little brother is kind of the same as Joel losing his little girl.
Yeah.
And it was those hard decisions. But the thing is, the difference between Henry and Joel is Henry had to shoot his own brother.
Yeah.
Joel didn't have to shoot his daughter. So I like not outweighing what's what, but like you can tell that like the toll is greater knowing the fact that you're more responsible of like ending your loved one. And of course, you don't want to live with that.
Yeah.
If that was Joel's position, I think Joel would have done the same thing. As
and-
horrible as it for me to say, that's the world.
Yeah. And then we get near Tommy's place, and as they're walking along, you can see Ellie and Joel are really getting closer, but Joel's still like, "I'm gonna keep you at this distance still." Because when she brings up like Sam or, Sam, and he's like, "We don't talk about that. I already told you, things happen, and we just let them happen."
Yeah, but like before that though, when they met Henry and Sam, they were getting closer and closer.
Yeah.
And when that shit happened, you could tell that like Joel was like distancing himself from her because
Yeah.
it might happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could happen.
And then they get to Tommy's, and then they fight some bandits, and then Joel's like, "Hey, can you take Ellie off my hands?" And then Ellie figures it out, like, "Oh, you're gonna leave me." And then she
Yeah.
runs off, and Joel...
And but again, we get this amazing dialogue where she's like, "I saw him, not Sarah," and she was like, "How do you know that? Like you talk in your sleep." And you're talking in your sleep, and what's her name?
The wife told her.
The wife of.
And Joel's like, "You're walking on thin ice."
Yeah, I was like, I love that line.
Yeah.
It was in the trailer. So.
Yeah, and then she was like, "Well, I have lost everybody except for you." And then she pushes him, and I like that interaction too.
Yeah.
But
And
eventually, Joel's like, "You know what? I'm gonna take her. This is my responsibility." And she is becoming like my daughter. And then they go off. They go to the campus where Tommy said they would be, but they are not. It's abandoned, and they have to go to Utah, which is really far away. And
Yeah,
then
it was like a university. That's
Yeah.
where the lab was supposed to be.
yeah. And then along the way, Joel gets ambushed again, and he falls on the spike. I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
the scaffolding.
yeah,
I was like, oh, you know what it reminded me of? Like the new Tomb Raider came out. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god. Yeah, now that I think about it, Tomb Raider ain't that realistic because there will be tetanus, and you have that wound and an infection. You'll pretty much be dead
and
if you
then
didn't have like
when
any medical supplies.
Ellie pulls him up, like, oh my god, and he's bleeding everywhere, and you're like, how will this game end? Again? Huh?
Yeah, yeah, and like when that happened, it was like fall, was it?
Yeah,
No, it was like hitting winter,
yeah.
or end of fall hitting winter. We get to winter, and Ellie's just like scraping bottom of the barrel. And you see like her trying to find food
Yeah.
and trying to find medicine for Joel because she really can't. And you saw her like she stitched him up too.
Yeah.
Like, damn, kid's resourceful as fuck.
Yeah, and then that's where you meet David, and you kind of bond with him for a bit, and then he's like, things happen for a reason. Example,
Voiced by Nolan North.
voiced by Nolan North. There's this madman running around, killed a couple of my crew. Rumor is he's palling around with a little girl. It's funny how that works, and now he's like, whoa.
Yeah. But the entire time you're like, you kind of felt like you're in the safe space. Like this might be one of the good people in the world. This shitty fucking world. Because he was very nice. He was like very cooperative. Like, hey, here's my gun. You want to take it? Go ahead. But for my gun and like for medicine, can we have the deer? Because we need to feed people. We have a camp. We just want the deer. So that's what she does. That's what he does. He cooperates. He gives him the deer. Of course, there was a sequence where you had to fight off, like runners, is what you call them.
Yeah, runners, and when the bloater gets to instant that you just decks Ellie, I'm like, yeah, that's a fractured skull.
Yeah. But like you kind of had like this false sense of security with David. Like,
Yeah.
okay, we fought together. Now we're cooperating. They gave me medicine, and he's inviting me to his camp so we could, But the thing is, yes, she has to separate from Joel to go with them.
Yeah.
And later on, they pretty much tracked her down where they were with Joel.
Yeah.
After she gives him the antibiotics, and yeah, they get her. You killed some of her guys, but like some of his guys, and then she gets captured. This was the weirdest and creepiest scene. Because it wasn't just because the guys, you find out he's a cannibal. You find out he's a little bit of a pedophile. Like, once Ellie wakes up, you see somebody chopping. I was like, okay, I guess they got the deer. Nope.
It's
It
a
ain't
human
deer.
torso.
Yep.
I like
And-
how she tricks them though, because they're pinning her against the cutting board. Like, wait, I'm affected, and they're like, what the fuck? And then the guy
And she grabs,
distracted. Yeah.
To be honest, I'm so happy she did that because, I was so like, because he was like, you have to trust each other. And then he holds Ellie's hand like over the bar. I was like,
What's your
Whoa.
name, Ellie?
bad touch. Bad
My
touch.
name's Ellie. Sam the girl who broke your fucking finger.
Yeah, like also she like, yeah, crack. I'm like, yeah, fuck you.
But yeah, he then, after escaping David traps you again, and then you enter this. I hate this part. So I'm like, stay away from me, you creep.
No amount of clickers and runners will ever top the amount of fear I had in this like Jurassic Park Velociraptor kitchen scene that we had with David.
Oh, also, before that, Joe wakes up and you find out what methods he's willing to go to save the ones he loves. Because he tortures two guys, and he's like, if you don't pinpoint, you put
Your
the right,
partner doesn't
do the
like
right thing.
have the same answer.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking kill you.
And then he chokes the guy out anyway, and then the guy's like, he told you, he didn't even check with me. He's like, it's alright, I believe him. And he just cracks him.
It was like you told my buddy already told you what you needed. I ain't gonna be talking or some shit like that. Like, I ain't talking. He's like, it's alright. I believe him. What? I was like, ah.
And then you cut back to Ellie, and she's crawling on the floor, and like, at least I'm like, I'm so scared for Ellie. Crawling towards the
Well,
machete.
yeah, and like, yeah, I will say this was very hard to watch because, yes, this was a very grown man
Pinning himself.
hitting himself on a little girl, and like, once, dude, Joel wasn't even there to save her. We thought like Joel's coming in last minute to save her. No, she did it all herself.
Yeah.
She started just hacking away at David, and you could tell like the stress and the tears and the trauma that's going through her right now. I was like, damn.
Yeah. And then we go to Salt Lake City, and then Joel's more open. Like, I'm gonna teach you how to sing. I'm gonna teach you how to play the guitar. And Ellie's just like has 1,000 yards there. I'm like, cool.
Yeah, like you could tell like whatever happened with David really took a toll on him.
Yeah.
And thankfully we got that giraffe scene.
The first time I'm like,
Yeah, because like, come on, this was like probably 2 minutes of peace.
yeah. It's
Like the first time we could actually lower our guard a bit.
yeah. I was so afraid that later on we would see like a dead giraffe. I'm like, of course.
Or like a dead baby giraffe.
Yeah.
Like somebody's poaching them.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah. No, it didn't happen.
Yeah, they let us breathe, and it's a beautiful moment. Also, there's really hard-hitting dialogue because Joel's like, talking about how he lost Sarah, and Ellie's like, I can't imagine losing someone you love that much. And I'm like, fuck this game, fuck this world.
Again, every dialogue you get with them, there's always meaning
Yeah,
to whatever they say. It's not just like, oh, quips and jokes. There were quips and jokes, but it's more on like building character than it was just to toss a joke in there, just to make the audience happy.
yeah. And then this is the level where they throw all of the infected at you, and you have to be real careful.
There's a time where when you like, if you're playing this on the hardest difficulty, all the shit that you hoarded, this is the time when you use it. Trust
Yeah.
me. Like if you haven't played the game and you reach the level where you have to go to a underground highway, and it's flooded, there's the point where you just use all of the fucking 14 shotgun shots you had this entire game and did not use.
Yeah, like, well, my flamethrower's full. Time for some fun.
Yeah, there's a time where you just utilize everything because once you get to the next level, they're gonna take that all away from you.
Yeah. And then they're hopping aboard some platforms, like, Uncharted. And then Ellie falls, you're like, oh no, please.
I was like, baby girl, no!
And then when you see her body underwater, I'm like, I swear, if this game ends the way it begins, I might never play a game ever again.
Yeah.
And
Like, I got so annoyed by one of the fireflies.
Yeah.
They were like, he's trying to resuscitate this little girl. And it was like, put your hands in the air! I'm like, man, don't you see what I'm trying to do?
and he's saying the same things he's saying to Sarah. I'm like, I hate feelings.
Same thing.
Yeah.
And the firefly guard pretty much knocks him out. And
Yeah.
the next thing we get is that he's waking up in the hospital with
Marlene.
Marlene. And I was like, bitch, how the fuck did you get here? Why couldn't you just bring her?
And then
But again, she did say that like she pretty much lost majority of her men
yeah.
trekking all the way here, while he was able to pretty much keep her in one piece. Well, physically, not mentally.
Yeah. And Marlene's like, well, don't worry, we're prepping Ellie for surgery. We're gonna harvest the infected parts of her brain, and then Joe's like, but it covers all of the brain. It's like, yeah, she's gonna die, but we'll have a
Yeah.
vaccine. And Joe,
I mean, of course, Enzo's paraphrasing. It was a little bit more heavier than that.
yeah, I know. And then I do love the scene where the guards leading Joel out, and Joel's like, fuck this, disarms him, and he's like, where's the operating lab? And the guard's like, oh, he has the face like, I'll never tell you. And then Joel shoots him.
Yeah, I love that scene. He was like, I don't have time for this. Bop, bop. He's like, where is it? Bop, bop. I'm like, oh. I love that, like, the brutality that Joel will go through.
Yeah.
Like, because you kind of relate. Sure, we were 13-year-olds, probably Enzo was like 15. But if we were dads, we would be doing the same methods just to
And
get our daughter back.
to dig up what you said in our failed first video for Last of Us 2, this is the first game that you said for the first time you felt like that. It's like, I need to protect this girl.
Exactly.
But yeah, the Fireflies are tough motherfuckers. Like, I hate this. And the series, I can't wait for Pedro Pascal to just mow down these guys.
I am glad that it's HBO, right?
Yeah.
And they show a little bit of brutality when it came to Game of Thrones. Please, please, show us these like brutality moments because it gives the world character. Sure, it's what?
I was gonna say they showed brutality towards Pedro, especially.
Yes. But like, you know, like Joel being the person he is gives the world character.
Yeah.
Knowing the fact that the world is not forgiving, and it's not gonna give you, it's not gonna spoon feed you the entire journey.
Yeah. And then Joel kills all of them, and then goes to the operating room, and you confront Mr. Future Consequences. And then I did kill all of them. I was like, you know what, you'll be safer in the afterlife.
Yeah, I felt bad though because like, I'm a guy with a gun. This doctor has a scalpel, and he's like, we have to do this. It's like, man, sorry.
Yeah. And then Joel takes her, and then sad music, and he brings her to the elevator, and then you confront Marlene, and she's like, even if you save her, how long until she's torn apart by the clickers, or until she's murdered by gangs? What good will it do her? And then Joel's like, fuck it. I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, she's my second daughter. I can't let her die.
No, but like, no, what this shows is, you see Joel like kind of like thinking about it, like he hesitates, and then we cut to a scene where he's back at the car. Ellie's asleep. Ellie wakes up and he's like, "What happened?" Oh, there were like dozens of you, and they tried every procedure and it didn't work. So we're just going home, and like the entire journey for Ellie was for nothing. But as he's telling this story, you see Joel just pretty much cap Marlene in the stomach.
Yeah, I'm just like, wait.
Well, yeah, he was like, wait, just let me go. It's like, you'll just come after. And just pretty much ends Marlene right there. And they go back to Jackson. And Ellie, again, trying to reel back, like, and pretty much tells the story of Riley, her best friend, when she was with her, when she got bit. They both got bit. You see her just saying, like, whatever happened back in Boston, did it really happen? Like, tell me the truth. I was like, I'm telling you the truth. And this is the point where we found out that we were playing the bad guy the entire time.
And she goes, okay. And then cut to black, and then credits. And
yes,
for, how many years is it? 70 years, Rick. Whoa! And for the longest time, this was my favorite standalone game until like God of War.
Agreed.
Well, let's forget everything that happened after, and just for this moment, that is a perfect ending. And whoever had the brilliant idea, like, there should be more. Shut up.
No, less is important. Less is so much.
Yeah. Needless to say, with this incredible game, what would you rate this?
And it's a 5 out of 10. No, it's a 10. It's a 10 out of 10.
If you guys didn't know, that was our original rating for The Last of Us 2. For the failed one, because we never got to rate it anyway, so John was 5. Mine was 5. But for this one, John was 10 for the first one.
Yeah. So it's a 10 out of 10. Dude, this game was just amazing. Every dialogue, all the characters, they were all relatable. This was the time when we were playing Call of Duty Uncharted, where our heroes would get shot or hurt, and then they would always get up. Like, this is the game where sometimes when you get hurt, you kind of want to stay down. This world's so fucking pretty. It's a character on its own. The zombies, the gunplay was so great. Sure, it was it was hard to master, but that was the fear part. You had to make every shot count if you played it at the hardest difficulty. And it felt like the entire time you're in this world, your back's against the wall. And I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. It is a perfect zombie game. And especially the ending,
Yeah.
where where the player realizes you are the bad guy. The entire time, the choices that you're making, sure, selfish, sure, reasonable, but you're choosing one person over the world.
Yeah, and that's why I think that's why they showed Joel's daughter's dead, because you understand where he's coming from. Because if he just started as a gun for hire, you're like, what the fuck? You just sacrificed the entire world for nothing.
Yeah, right. There's no motivation, or like there's like for some reason he starts to have motivation that like he has to make this hard decision for this girl.
Yeah.
If it was like that, it would still be an okay game. But at the same time, you're like, he's an okay character.
Yeah.
But if they like they showed us why he's doing this, like if he had another opportunity to save his daughter, he would take it, and no matter the risk.
Yeah. That's why he saves Ellie. As for me, I'll give this a 10 out of 10 because this game is close to perfect. The characters are great, and as you said, the theme of this world is unrelenting. And yeah, it does carry over with the second game, but like the difference is like this one is like The Godfather 2, while the other one's like The Godfather 3. Or like this one's Empire and the other one's like Attack of the Clones. Yeah.
The entire sequel trilogy. Sorry.
Yeah, sure, we can use that. Yeah, this one's Empire. This one, the other one's like Last Jedi. But yeah, amazing game. And what do you guys think about the game? Tell us your experience down below, because this is the end of our Last of Us video. And until the series comes out, this is the last time we'll ever touch upon it. Okay? To much Jomer's happiness. But
Yes.
yeah, you can find us at facebook.com/geeks and degenerates. We react to trailers, we stream video games, we stream about our lives sometimes too. Individually, you can find us at me at least at Yundalfos1995 on IG and Twitter. How about you, man?
And you can find me at JomJom on Instagram. It is my art account.
Yeah, and please remember to stay safe, wear masks, social distance, and get vaccinated if you can. That's all the time we have for this video at least. We'll see you on the next one. Goodbye, everybody.